People are fast, especially up close. More especially when you get them talking about the things that they love.
You and I, and my friend here, we're live together.
We're live.
I am Adrienne Gunn. I'm excited here to be with my friend. Would you be willing to say your name?
Montserrat Andreys.
Yay! And this is fun because you and I have had this moment before, but you didn't get to see it.
Yes.
What? It may have even been 2 years ago that I had you here on this couch in this positioning, different other such.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I think.
2 years ago.
And we did a wonderful chat. I loved it.
Yeah.
And
it was really fun.
apparently the camera stopped recording maybe 10 minutes before our conversation stopped.
Yeah. So this is the double take.
Yeah. Redo. Rewind. It only takes, well, it always only takes as long as it takes to get things to do-overs.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you're here.
Thank you.
Just because we're live, and depending on when you're watching this, this is Friday the 13th.
Friday
March
the 13th.
2020?
2020.
And if we're time capsuling this, just last night, we're in Portland, Oregon, just last night, the governor shut down all of the schools. The night before, the governor shut down all performances over 250, or all events over 250 people. We're in coronavirus. Do they have a cute nickname for it yet?
I don't know.
Like,
we're at the door of the cave. I think we're like about to see like what this really means for us, but not quite yet. Like our eyes are adjusting.
Hilariously, I woke up to a post from a friend on Facebook that says it's snowing, which in Portland, Oregon, we almost always call Snowmageddon. So I thought it was hilarious that, like, as we sat, like, where are we emotionally today? Where you might also emotionally, if you're joining us live, you might be in this, like, what state?
Yeah.
And here we are wanting to chat with each other.
Totally, I know. We're like, this is still happening, right? Like,
yeah,
I find it really. A lot of emotions are happening, I'm sure, almost by the minute for all of us.
Yes.
Because I work very, very closely with the arts community. My first sense and impact is on what's happening to them. And so really feeling the closing of events, the ending of secure finances for people, knowing what to do. And so I think last night, a lot of us were feeling like, okay, life right now, in this moment as we know it, is officially changing.
Yeah.
And feeling, I think, a lot of emotions, anger, fear, mourning. But I'm also really impressed how quickly some minds pop to, like, what can we do next? How can we support people?
Yeah.
And so that was the focus of my morning. This morning I was reading a lot of different suggestions, recommendations. So one of the first things that I thought was really, really generous is if you participate in any kind of classes, art classes, dance classes, you know, ceramic studios, anything like that, or you have tickets to a performance, all of the things getting ready for that have already been purchased. Time has been put in, salaries have been paid. And so foregoing a refund is actually one of the most generous things if it's within your means to do.
Yeah.
So that they're able to have a little bit of a buffer and a resiliency.
And part of this, I'm interrupting on purpose, part of this focus for you is, like, you specifically are a healthcare professional who loves to serve artists.
Yes.
You actually, is it healthcare for artists?
Healthcare for artists. Yeah.
Super, that makes sense. That is a perfect way.
Yeah.
Or if it's is it heart healthcare?
HEART is the acronym for Healthcare for Artists.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
How fun is that? It's very handy. So, but you also are an artist. You're a dancer as
I'm a
well.
dancer.
Yeah, when they did the shutting down, the 250 events or higher, I do interpersonal work. I do anything. I have like 8 jobs or so, and all of my theater, like supporting theater work for the next month, just canceled.
Yeah.
And I know the dollar sign of that. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's going to be rescheduled. It's
High
going to be
impact.
fine. I mean, I'm in a place where I suddenly scanned all of my financial documents as I store them in my head and was like, am I going to be okay?
Yeah.
Should I leave the house right now? We're about to set up video equipment. Should I go buy frozen vegetables?
Yeah.
I decided yes, and I could buy frozen vegetables. Were there.
All right.
Toilet paper, not so much.
No toilet paper. Y'all, this is a dry cough. It's not diarrhea. I understand people wanting to be prepared.
Yeah.
I am really mystified by the toilet paper thing. It kind of, okay,
Well,
so people are really scared about their
A lot of humans
toilet needs.
use the restroom at their jobs.
Yeah.
And their kids use the restroom at school. So technically,
Yeah.
having more humans in the house having
okay,
to wipe,
okay.
and some of us have to wipe every time we go,
Yeah. I appreciate
instead
you.
of just, wiggle it off and not wash our hands.
Looking at you.
Somebody people, and now they're
Yeah.
practicing washing your hands. I'm
Yeah.
hoping they keep the practice
Yes.
of the hand washing after
Totally.
So that'll be good
Yeah.
for us.
You know, it's really interesting in my clinic for the experience that I try to provide for my patients is that I usually try to clean things off when no one is in the room. So a patient leaves, I clean everything, somebody else new comes in, and so it's beautiful for them. And so one of the things that I've changed is that I'm still doing the same amount of cleaning, but now I'm doing it within eyesight for people to just ease the stress of that. So it's interesting, and which I think is good for people to feel confident in their healthcare providers being mindful and careful. But it's interesting to see like how we adjust, where we adjust, the kinds of things we change.
Yeah.
But thank you for that on the toilet paper. I was like, but yeah, people are home more now.
It's
Okay.
It's a hilarious memory for me because, what was it? 2007, I returned from Vegas. I was adulting in Vegas, and I was like, I'm going to come back and get a business degree. I want to get a degree in advertising marketing. And so I moved in with my father for a minute. My father is a very caring and wonderful person and very thoughtful. So when I moved in and he noticed that the toilet paper usage had increased, he took a minute and he said, would you like me to show you my toilet paper folding strategy for using less paper? And I said, no,
I'm good.
because here's the thing, toilet paper usage has increased because I drink water regularly and I have to wipe every time I go to the bathroom, regardless of what's going on. And I in my world, there are four things that I bathroom for, and only one of them doesn't require toilet paper.
Yeah.
And that's if things are coming out this way.
Yeah.
It requires like
Totally.
water.
Yeah.
Usually.
Towel.
But like, I'm just like, I can think of that because it just, the regular usage, and also having roommates in my house, I've noticed different versions. I've had like the like mostly male house and the mostly female house, and I notice when spoons and forks disappear, and I'm like, oh, I'm at a spoon's house or I'm at a fork's house. This is a hotly, so I'm concerned because I'm the one that buys the TP. And I'm like, it's a funny.
You have to start doing some math.
But yeah, it was personal for me because I had this hilarious memory.
Yeah.
It makes sense. But yeah, what the heck? So did you have any of your own performances shift?
Yeah. We got really fortunate. We just had a guest dancer, Angelina Ramirez from Arizona, here last week. So we did workshops at our dance studio. We did a big performance. And literally the day after she left, major changes occurred here. So, really grateful that we were able, one, to experience her art form, but also that it wasn't this weekend. You know, things would have changed dramatically. And also concerns for her safety and, traveling and all of that. We have a huge festival every spring. It's about 1,000 people. We just canceled that. And studio classes are canceled. So, but the support from the community has been really beautiful. And so, you know, I think everyone is feeling very optimistic and generous and like trying to figure out how to help.
Yeah, so studio classes, that includes your ability to drop into your own body and your own routines of like, I need to move and express myself.
Totally. Well, even this morning, I usually run and go to yoga on Friday mornings, but my yoga studio didn't have any notice, no information. I was on Twitter, I was on Facebook, I was on Instagram, I was calling them, and I couldn't figure out if they were open or not. And I was like, I could really use, you know, as part of my self-care, being outside, breathing fresh air, getting your endorphins up. All of this is very immunity boosting. So my preference would have been to be able to maintain that until, you know, unless it becomes more of a health concern. And so I was already, even with trying to figure out how to maintain some normalcy, that shifted just out of not being able to know, you know, if they're open or not.
I've been sitting here just as a creative human. I tend to, when things get nutty, some of my first responses are to curse. Yeah.
Step
Probably
one.
drop a couple like, well, fuck, or shit, because it's my show. I can fucking shit in my show. So, and then I'm like, oh, okay, what does this mean? I attempt to think of like how can, first of all, this is not the first time that I've witnessed like a flood of a kind of rhetoric and things going on in Facebook world and social media world. So as I do my normal checking in, because in my businesses and in my life, I check in on Facebook and Instagram all the time, post after post after post after post. And it's a newer thing for me to recognize. I think, what was it? 2015 may have been the beginning of a flood of Facebook showing up differently. And I don't know if you remember this order, but I think it was black people getting shot by cops shown live on Facebook. And then it was Brock Turner and a bunch of people sharing their sexual assault stories. And then it was more black violence. And then it was a bunch of Bernie, Hillary controversial political things. And then essentially the political season in the past used to be like 3-4 months. And a presidential election, maybe 6. And I used to remember like back in the days, 10 years ago, when I would like, I'd be in a band and I wanted to, like, I cannot have a show in October or, you know, because no one's going to want to listen to that. I'm going to be interrupted by all of these political posts. But then it's like, political season is all of the time. And then like Me Too and more assaults triggering, and then Kavanaugh, and like, it just kept going. There's almost every other month or so at this point in our lives, social media bombards us with a broader community than our bodies are designed to check in with. And so like we're here again.
Here we are.
And it's funny because, I mean, you're a medical professional, right? We're funny because we're in a space of what is truth, what's overreacting, what's reacting in the right way. How do we take care of ourselves? How do we connect with our people? I don't know what you've been doing. I have not come with like great ideas. I love that I have a show that, you know, it's just one human. We can hug ourselves if we want to, paying attention to where our mics are. But you know, this is sort of like social isolating a little bit. We're connecting with people who are in the digitals. So there's some parts of what I already do that's taking into account what we are able to do right now. But what sort of things have you thought of in this nutty
You know,
place?
I end up thinking about it from both perspectives, from being a professional with a responsibility to make sure that my information is accurate and helpful to my community. And then I have the personal side where, you know, I'm calling my tia in the morning and making sure she's okay, you know, and I'm just like, okay, but are you okay? Or are you just okay? You're okay. Okay, good, you know. And so there's, you know, we can be both lives. You know, and on the one hand, wanting to put out information that's accurate without being an additional, I think our mindset is very important. And caution includes not spiraling into negativity and into isolation to the point where we are creating negative experiences for ourselves, because as human beings, isolation is one of the biggest opportunities for negative feelings, emotions, occurrences.
Right.
So, you know, I already spoke to one of the women at my office, and tomorrow we're going to make some kind of more lighthearted videos, you know, different songs that we could sing for 20 minutes while washing our hands, different examples of like greetings that we could do with each other that are, you know, because I'm trying to break the habit. I came in today and I was like, social distancing, you know. I'm also trying to get on board with helping to create a sense of safety for my community. And so what are ways, it's almost a reminder for myself, like what are things I can be doing to make it more comfortable for me to still greet people in a way that makes them feel loved and received and authentically connecting without making a situation worse, you know. So I've also been like, oh, you know, I love to cook. I was like, I'm going to cook extra. So some people don't know how to make chicken soup, and I could maybe like do a little video as I'm going of how to make Mexican style chicken soup. Really hearty, great for the immune system. We're all home trying to figure out, some people are trying to figure out how to cook, you know. So I've been trying to think of things like that, ways of connecting, bringing people into my life, me going into theirs. Where I think social media is a huge gift right now.
I think it will be. I'm having some thoughts in two directions. I'm having the thought that governments are already now sort of aware of how powerful social media is, and that it is a presence. They don't necessarily, I think they're reaching out to experts and people to figure out what is this colossal thing. And so we might have new legislation, this is my guessing, new legislations about the kinds of informations that'll spread, because making sure that truthful and useful information is spreading. But then there's that do we trust the government? That's a big thing too that happens. So we might have, my sense of like what will happen with this in the future is something will come down on potentially figuring out, I don't know if they're gonna limit certain posts. I don't know what's gonna happen. But even just weeks ago, maybe just last week actually, somebody was posting about they were taking photos of lines that they were standing in for voting, and none of those posts made it to Facebook, showing how long the lines were. So there's already some stuff that's going on that's filtering. So I'm curious that like maybe there'll have to be more integrity around certain information being disseminated, or there might be more control around information. But then, loud cracking.
That was very loud cracking.
Then I think that there's going to be a piece about us connecting more. So yesterday was a more stirred up day for me because a bunch of things just got really real. And one of my favorite songwriters, who I just saw 2 weeks ago blast through town, had to cancel her show, and so she posted a live Facebook video from her room, just singing with people. And it was awesome and joyous, because there are artists that I love that I can't see often enough, and then they're putting content up. So I'm excited about that, about people getting creative, about connecting.
I mean, I know some theater companies that had some events that should have opened or were in the middle of runs, and they are going to record and make that available to the people that had already purchased tickets.
Nice.
And I thought, like, this is, you know, kind of... Fathom Events does that, right, for like the opera and things like that. And I thought, like, what a quickly creative thought on trying to still honor everything that was going on. You know, I know that that's something that could be potentially done with dance classes.
I had a huge idea that I hope this, because artists and events have been hit first and hardest at this moment. First and hardest.
Service industry too. We see
immune deficient older people, they're dying. So when I say hit first and hardest, I'm just talking about when they specifically say events over a certain size. It's one of the people that in my life I've noticed are getting hit hard. I had this idea that shows could have multiple cameras in spaces and record the show from a different place. And I'm talking include your rigger pulling curtains, include the sound cues, include the backstage and the makeup, and have different, they can record the whole process.
So
and then you can watch the show from the stage view, from the audience view, and then you can go and check in on at every moment this amazing thing that happens on stage, what's going on behind the scenes to create that.
Yes.
And it could be an interesting thing. That would take a lot of work.
It would.
But you could have multicams in real time.
Yeah. It would take a lot of work, but I think that that's the kind of beginning of thoughts, beginning of ingenuity. You know, I think with every major life-changing event, one of the things that we really demonstrate is the spaces where we're resilient. And, you know, there's almost no one better poised to lead that than artists who have creative minds. And so having the resources is the next step, right? But I really, especially right now, like I said, this is where social media really comes into play in that there's a lot of ability to reach out and be like, I want to try to do this. How do I do that? Where did that, you know? And so I'm very curious. We're, like I said, I feel like we're right in the my friend said this yesterday, we're right at the cave. Our eyes are adjusting. Yeah. You know, what's going to happen?
It's like we're being house managers.
Yeah,
okay, we've got a
totally.
flashlight. You were just outside.
Let your eyes
adjust. So you have to stand here for 19 seconds to let your eyes adjust.
Totally. You have to follow
and then we can
biological
go on
rules.
with the show.
Yeah, totally.
Well, I've been peeking in the 2 years since we last sat on this couch that no one got to witness yet. I've been peeking at your Instagram feeds because you were telling me privately how excited you were to offer things for like tattoo artists. And I recently saw a series on there of different suggestions you did for dancers in heels specifically. How is that adventure going? Because you were called to work with artists and support them. How are these things going in your world?
It's been awesome, honestly. Challenging, and also in those challenges coming up with new solutions. So right now I am actually later today after this, my busy schedule recording, I'm going to be doing voiceover work for a commercial for the tattoo continuing education program that I'll have online. Yeah. And so now that so many events have been canceled in the evenings, I will have more time to get this online sooner. That is the reality. Social commitments have like, whoop, so now I'm like, oh, I have time to do all these business things. And that feels really exciting. It's going to be so cool. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, essentially you were like creating, I remember having a conversation forever ago, a different body worker who also worked with musicians about talking about, in general, people who do body work, they talk about, okay, here's the standard use of a body. But musicians and artists, we use our bodies so differently. And tattooed artists are bent over and hunched over and the different things that she was talking about, how it would make sense to me. I play guitar and bass that I'm not going to have a balanced. I don't. No. There were years when I was trying to decide whether to be right or left-handed player because of my own range of motion challenges. But no, I don't do that now. Yeah. I need to be able to support that I stand in a particular way and one foot is in a situation. And how do I maintain that I have an imbalanced practice that I need to be able to, my physical structure support?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's, you know, with so many different, even if you were to compare instruments that seem similar, for example, like banjo and guitar are totally different, you know, in the way that you use your body for them, even though you may be holding them the same way. Different hands, different active hands, you know. And so with dancers, that series, I have to say, actually even took me by surprise because I dance flamenco, and I've been dancing flamenco for years, and I've been studying movement and dance for a very, very long time. And it was really one day where I was just sitting there and I was trying to explain to a dancer why things are different. And so all of a sudden, it was in trying to communicate to them that I was like, oh my gosh, dancing barefoot, dancing on point, and dancing in shoes are totally different ways of expression of being on your feet. Yeah. And that's what spurred that series. But I have to say, like, it was awesome for me too, because really sharpened me into truly, truly differences that I don't think I've seen somebody else talk about in that way.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping actually to turn it into its own kind of webinar later. But this ended up being, the series that I do on Instagram ended up being almost like a sketch. You know, it allows me to see what the response is for certain content. It allows people to ask questions so I can see what I need to beef up and do more. And so I feel like it really allows artists to be very present with the information that I'm giving, and also let me know, like, oh, I have no idea what you're talking about here. Like, please explain.
Yeah,
or
you get a feedback
like,
loop on what you're offering.
Yeah, great. So that's part of what's challenging, is that, you know, you're right on the front lines. And then also the ability to be responsive to your community is so much faster.
Yeah.
So that part has been fun.
I was thinking earlier that, so in a helping profession, there's the personalities that are drawn to being in a helping profession. I get the sense that in any instance we try to serve. So when we were talking earlier, like, what do we do? What do we do for the community? How do we show up? I don't know that everybody feels that way.
No.
Maybe they have a sense of purpose in an insular way, like, okay, things are crazy, how do I take care of my family?
Yeah.
And
Totally.
And yet yesterday I was having this sense of like, oh, because it is a pattern in my life to see many people being challenged, like I'm challenged in a particular way, and then I go, oh, I wonder if other people are challenged in this way, and then figure out a way to serve.
Yes.
Which I think is, you know, part of, oh, I'm having a patient who has this issue in dancing, or I'm having this issue in dancing, how can I serve?
Yeah.
It's sort of, maybe part of a compulsion?
Yeah, it's
For me,
definitely my go-to.
Yeah.
You know, as soon as I see things going on, I'm like, okay, how can I communicate? How can I reach out? How can I make this better? And I think that it's a type of social conditioning, and you know, we're rewarded early on with affection, love for different elements of our personality, and so that helps us kind of bloom in those directions more than others. And if we like the response for some of that behavior, then we kind of go that way more, you know.
Yeah.
And I heard someone say once, like, it's not so much that we have a personality, it's that we have things that we've been rewarded for. Dun, 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 dun.
Yay.
Yeah. And I was like, dang, you know, and that we were rewarded in a way that we liked, right? Because we're probably rewarded for a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so I thought, like, yeah, our environment plus ourselves has shaped us, you know, and nurtured our strengths. And so at this point, I don't know how to not think that way, how to not be of service, especially now as a doctor. I get rewarded literally for that daily in energetic ways by people physically saying thank you, you know, by having my paycheck be a reflection of like my service, of, you know, walking into different environments and people saying like, this person helped me, you know. So I'm curious, you know, how much would be different if that hadn't been something that early on.
That's fair. I've been working on this project. I don't know if I've talked to you much about it. And I'm trying to not cross promote, I guess, is a small voice in the back of my head. I'm working on this project called the Enlightened Couch Potato, where I've discovered many years ago that I started watching TV in a particular way as a trained hypnotherapist and a person who can help people shift mental and emotional patterns rapidly so that their life feels different. I started using TV as a way to insight breakthrough, because the way that we watch TV, the way that we watch movies, we go into a kind of deep trance, and it has the ability to shift our perspectives and be healing. And so we recently did a bunch of episodes where we were talking about how, like, the TV and movies that made us. And so recently I went back and looked at the stuff that I watched when I was little, and we're talking about the things that you're rewarded for. There were two elements. For me, I watched a lot of TV growing up, and there were specific people that I modeled. And as you know, because you talk about how you develop a personality, you sort of pull things from your different parents. Or I used to laugh at this neighbor kid who, when he would walk alongside his dad, they both have the most beautifully ridiculous look at me walk.
Mm-hmm.
And the kid's tall, the dad's not so tall. So it works for the kid. Look at me walk, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the dad developed the walk because he's smaller and he's like, look. But like, I was just thinking recently about all of the different things that we model. So partly like pulling, I'm gonna try this out and see what happens.
Yeah.
I remember one of the things that I got rewarded for early on that made my life a lot easier, because my younger years were not easy, but when I started using osmosis and taking on humor and using humor in the world, I'm like, oh, this has some power. I enjoy doing it. I get to like use my observational skills and then flip it around, and people are like, ha ha ha, it's so much fun. I'm like, people are having fun in my direction.
Totally.
And it also became a defense mechanism for me, because I could just, you know, the yo mama stuff on the bus and like teasing and poking
yo
fun.
Mama jokes.
Right?
Yes.
So that I had thought about what we were modeling and trying on and what's enjoyable, and that we construct our personality. That's part of the gig of, you know, from like 7 to 17 maybe.
Yeah.
But I hadn't thought about the being rewarded for it part.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
It's really, it's been really informative. I went through a culturally specific leadership program with Latino Network.
Yeah.
And my partner is now doing that same program. And so we're able to use a lot of the information that we got there and kind of talk about things, experiences that we have. And we've really seen that, like, so many people that are in leadership positions are there because they saw some kind of great injustice at some point and decided to take action, and either they got rewarded for being that like strong young innovator, you know, or thoughtful person, or they got so much friction and so much feedback, and they had these personalities that were just like forge ahead, that you know, so either way they ended up in these leadership positions because there was some really major event or adversity that they had. And so it's curious to, once I started thinking about personality and people in that way, and started noticing the times when they're not rewarded for those elements of their personality, then that is a lot of times where I've noticed friction or like, you know, disconnect. And
oh, I'm having, sorry, I'm supposed to articulate, you're watching a show. I'm having stuff pop through my life personally. Like some of my biggest heartaches and challenges are when at some point I was rewarded for doing something, so, and then suddenly I wasn't getting the energy back. A lot of the times that I've had dis-ease and challenges have been around this conflict in how I'm being received for things that I'm like, oh, I have an idea. I'm purposely being vague about it. So in my musical career and in my sort of businessing personal development career, I'm seeing different things pop out where literally people were asking me for something and asking me for something, and so I did it. I provided it, and then there was just crickets, right? And not knowing why. And I had a lot of challenges that manifested in health challenges and that sort of thing, of like this idea, oh, I'm supposed to do this thing.
It creates friction.
It's funny, and I almost wonder if it creates friction for me because there wasn't pushback initially. When I'm thinking of like how we forge our personalities, a lot of what I was drawn to do when I was little, I got a lot of hand slaps, and you shouldn't do that because you're a girl and you can't do the thing, and why do you think, like, most of my through 8 or whatever is a lot of like, no, 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 why do you heck? And then, I don't know, I wonder if like, I don't know that I'm articulating well, but that missing element of people like, saying that I can't. Instead of people like, oh, hey, you should do this thing. I had this idea. That's a great idea. And then going out. Maybe I'm used to the friction as part of the charge. I don't know.
I think it really depends on the personality, you know, because for some it adds fuel. It's like, tell me no again. You know, Quincy Jones had a quote. I used to wear this shirt because it resonated with me so much. I was maybe in high school, and I had this big Q on my shirt, and in the back it was a Quincy Jones quote and said, someone says you can't, and I say, oh, really? And I was like, let me put that on, you know. And it's so funny how even at high school age me, like, recognized that, like, you know, yeah, oh, cool. Your opinion means nothing. Thanks. You know, step away, step out of the way.
Yeah.
You know, whereas for some other people, for whatever reason, circumstances, resiliency, opportunity, ability, you know, those no's were able to really stop momentum.
Yeah.
You know, but I see it so much, especially working with the arts community.
Fair.
I'm sure you do too. I see it so much that people so frequently now we're getting the opportunity to return to, like, initial loves. It's more accepted to, like, have a passion project.
Yeah.
It's more accepted to have hobbies. It's more accepted, right? Like, before it was like your life worth was on, like, how you were providing, how you were rearing, how you were housing, all of that.
Yeah.
And so many people in their retirement go back to, like, old passions or,
fair, yeah.
you know, keep hobbies that they thought that they were going to have to let go, or, you know, so we're definitely shifting. And I think we have a lot to be grateful for with, like, Generation Z, millennials, like, shifting work cultures and shifting passion and forcing a lot of the more the older generations out of shifting us out of status quo.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do it, you know, challenge us, force us out of this, like, whatever it takes.
I remember one of them, I had this impulse. I don't know if I've shared this story with you. I had this impulse. I had taken a break from playing music. I must have been 27 or 8. Taking a break from playing music because there was some heartache there. But I had this impulse to play drums. I found myself being really hyper and having a hard time focusing in my life and my moods. And I was like, who do I know that are hyper? Well, drummers are hyper, except for when they're drumming.
Except for when they're drumming.
And so I wanted to get a full drum kit, and I wanted to hit things. And I thought, I had this intuition that being able to get individuation in my limbs was going to help my brain talk to each other, and that would be calming. I just decided that was going to be the result.
Yeah.
So I get this drum kit and I set it up, and my dad's like, how are you thinking that at 28 you're going to be, like, a great drummer? And I was like, because he's, you know, I have a musician family. I've made most of my hobbies professions. So in our family, that's like, how are you going to make money from this? What's going to be the result? And at that point in my life, I'm like, I don't want to be a drummer. I just want to play the drums.
Totally.
Because I just feel drawn to the health and freedom, or I feel like there's something on the other side of this craving.
Yeah.
And so I got the drums and I played them. And each time I would get to a point where I'd rehearse and I'd get stuck somewhere and I'd get really frustrated. And then magically the next day that I would come, the first time I tried the thing that I couldn't do the night before, I could suddenly do it without having practiced. Maybe I dreamed it, something in my unconscious.
The microglia brain, they're very important for that exact thing.
So over and over and over again, I kept showing up to the drums, kept trying something, and it was a wonderful thing to approach music as a musician, but from a different instrument that I had no ego about. And I had that sense too, that it was going to be fun and I had no ego and I was allowed to fail and suck at it.
Totally.
And it did work the way that I thought it would. My individuation of my limbs calmed me the F down. And so for like 3 or 4 months, my project was I was playing the drums and I was chilling out, and my brain and myself was completely different after.
Yeah.
And I also hear music differently now.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And it was a big deal for me to just decide, I'm going to give myself permission. I bought used drums, but it was still like $800 to jump into this. I wonder if this would work. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm so glad you did. You know, I feel like so many people have been steered away from that type of expression and exploration. And the things is that we know, right, scientifically speaking, any new input that you try creates new connections, and so frequently instincts that we have about our health and our wellness are dampened because we're not supposed to be experts, right?
Yeah.
But like, you are the expert of you. Like, there's nobody else that's more expert than you about you. It doesn't mean that that every thought or impulse is the accurate one. But it can be a really good clue about the direction that you may want to take. You know what I mean? Or within what you know, you could be like, this, I have a sense of wanting something like this. And then somebody that knows a little bit more could come in and be like, you're so close. Like, take a little step to the left, try this thing, you know. But especially when it comes to expression and arts and doing something like this, like you already knew, you were like, I need to help develop this coordination. And drumming could be a way of doing that. Like, maybe it could have been something else percussive. Maybe you could have been like, I'm going to try tap dancing.
Sure.
Maybe it would have had a similar effect. Or, oh, you know, I think I'm going to try, like, beat making. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't... But whatever you were drawn to, the important part of that is that that's the one you were going to do.
Yeah.
Right? If somebody else came and was like, try this other percussive thing that doesn't interest you at all, but that'll make all those same neural connections for you, you're not going to do that one.
Yeah.
The best one is the one that you're going to use.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah, when people already have an idea, you know, because I do a lot of rehab, when people already, I always say, you know, what kind of things you like to do, that's what I'm going to use for the rehab. I'm not going to be like, okay, so now, like, out of nowhere, let's shift you into this thing that you have zero interest in. Oh, you know, you're a swimmer? Well, now we're going to go skiing. You know, like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. I love it that you did that.
It was pretty fun. It was pretty loud.
Yeah.
I also recognized that being loud and hitting things was, like, there was a level of, like, frustration and aggression that can get out with the drums. Like,
so
you hit it the right way,
Yeah. Vibration too, like, you know, I'm one of my most personal favorite forms of healing therapies is sound therapy. Oh, I love it so much. And you know, there's so much science around vibration and particular tones and sounds.
Yeah.
And like literally you're surrounding yourself by all this vibration and you're like, I like this one. And then you can just sit there and like create that for yourself over and over, you know? So yeah, I don't doubt it.
That reminds me of a funny, for New Year's, not this recent year, but the year before, I was trying to think of like a thing to do that was very me. And everything I kept being drawn to were either the sound bath healing things, and then get to bed early, or grieving workshops.
Oh,
no way. Because what I didn't feel like doing, January 1st is not the beginning of the year for me. For me, the beginning of the year is February 1st. It just feels right. I'm still deeply hibernating in January and be like out yelling with people in public. It's not my jam. So I'm like, what do I do? Well, I'm just going to go deeper into this healing path of like December and just be like cozy and warm. I did not do that particular year because I was not the only human making the decisions about what was going on that night. There were a couple of us who was like, that sounds awful. I don't want to like be surrounded like bowls and then go sit and cry with a group. Anyway.
Rocking.
Sound healing and vibrations. I love it. So we're sort of getting, it's my job now that we're in live world to be paying attention to timing. So we're sort of getting to the end of time here. But so I heard something in what you were talking about is the whatever we're drawn to, potentially as many of us are having to think differently about how we're spending our time, or maybe we're in our house more. It seems like paying attention to the curiosities that show up in this time may be a path to health.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was thinking like, okay, you know, people are being kind of forced in. Like, what are some hobbies, things you haven't tried? I have been absolutely enamored. A friend of mine, she makes, oh my gosh, I'm spacing on the name of it. It's folded paper that when you open it, it like a pop-up book.
Oh, cool.
But she makes cards that are pop-ups. She studied with this incredible artist that does like pop-up exhibits. Pop-up in museums, but you know, pop-up art. Pop-up means a different thing right now in the world. And I love watching those, and I was like, oh my gosh, I could like just watch people's videos on how they make them now if I'm home on a day when I wasn't expecting, and learn that, you know, or if people have been wanting to play guitar or do whatever. Like, this is actually a cool opportunity to dive into maybe researching something that you've never considered or
Totally.
have always wanted but never made the time. And this is a self-imposed time,
Yeah.
you know, or an artificially imposed time.
Also,
So-
engaging with their bodies differently.
Absolutely.
I don't think,
Yeah.
and you don't have to come up with it now, but maybe you'll be a human that's like, okay, if you're sitting at home more, or if you can't
Yeah.
work out at the gym,
Yeah.
here's some things you can be
Yeah.
doing to stretch. Here's stuff you
Absolutely.
can do with your family
Yeah.
to shift and move in a different
Yeah.
way.
I was craving a foot massage the other day, and so I was actually thinking of this weekend putting up a foot massage video, like how to give yourself a foot massage,
I love
you know,
that.
for stress relief. Yeah, like
Yeah.
just stuff like if we're home and we have so much access, you know, like you may as well make it interesting, fun, work for you.
Nice. Yeah.
Take a bubble bath. Follow the Nap Ministry.
Wait,
oh my gosh,
what-
do you know
what?
about the Nap
I don't know.
Ministry? Okay.
What is it? Okay.
They're for sure on Instagram. I don't know if they're on Facebook, but the Nap Ministry is basically like huge advocates of rest as a social justice act.
Oh, I'm already into it.
Oh my gosh,
Rest and
yes,
naps and
rest.
things.
You know, they're like
Anti-striving.
yes, exactly. And it's I am actually not positive. I hear the voice of a woman in the material.
Okay.
And I think it is, but I'm not positive, so I just want to, but in my mind, the person that, when I read the posts, it's in this wise, wonderful woman's voice, so that could just be my own construction. But, you know, she was kind of talking about like all the excitement of everything going on this week and the stress, and she was like, go take a nap. And I was like, and there's wisdom right there. Go take a nap.
Naps are so my favorite.
Yeah.
I've heard from a lot of people that they don't know how to nap.
I have a very hard time with it.
Yeah, I may
Yeah.
come up with a nap induction. I may help people because the deal is your body knows how to sleep you.
Yeah.
And with naps, it's just learning how to sleep yourself quickly
Yeah.
with the type of drop in and depth that allows you to get enough rest and recovery for 20 minutes. If there's
Yeah.
any part of your body that's allowed to do that for you, it's your unconscious
Yeah.
mind.
Totally.
And it can tell your body how to do it. You
I
just
love
have to get out of the
this.
way. So I'm inspired. I'm going to figure out how to put out a how to
Yes.
nap yourself.
Nap yourself. That's going to be our
Video.
hashtag.
Go nap yourself.
Go nap it.
Would you be willing to grab
Let's do it.
this bowl? So we have this new element where we do rapid fire questions clipped out. I borrowed this from a website of, what is it? Icebreaker questions?
Mm-hmm.
Upside down.
Upside down.
Okay, what is your favorite musical instrument and why?
My God. I think right now I have to say guitar.
Okay.
I like the vibration.
Yeah.
I don't know how to play, and yeah.
Great. Okay.
All right. If you could hang out with any cartoon character, I really want to hear this.
Oh my gosh.
Who would you choose and why?
Wow. There was a cartoon character question in one of our last episodes. Oh. Her name's coming back to me, but not quickly. Shoot. There's this Tiny Toons character that was a little bit extra.
Babs?
She was the one that oversqueezed the animals.
Oh! I will hug and squeeze and call it George.
Sure, that was good.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And she wants to push the button. I don't remember
Yeah.
her name. I might just want to hang out with all the Tiny Toons, actually, or the Ninja Turtles,
Yes.
because pizza and
Pizza. It's the ultimate ambassador.
yeah. Do you have a cartoon character you hang out with?
So my first thought on that was earlier our conversation around like rewarding and like things that we watched and stuff like that, and I was like, I wonder if I really like spinach because I watched a lot of Popeye in Spanish.
Wow.
And I was
cool.
like, and I used to mimic that, like, I'm so strong, my muscles, because I eat lots of spinach. And like, I would repeat this over and over. And I'm like, do I actually like spinach? or am I just socially conditioned?
Popeye's pretty good.
Yeah,
I used to watch the Robin Williams movie. We're getting Elmira is the answer of the character that I would hang out with. Thank you,
Elmira.
CJ, our co-producer. Have you ever been told you look like someone famous, and who was it?
No. most famous people are not short, brown, Latina women.
That's true. We have
let me think.
two now. Congratulations.
Yeah, we have two. One is an Academy Award winner, so that's cool. I'll
That's
take
cool.
that.
So
Yeah.
have we increased our number from 2 famous women? I'm thinking
I mean, Salma's been around for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that there's a lot of very, very talented Latin American people in our media, but most of them are more towards European standard ideals. And I think this is I'm really touting social media today because we're really changing the face of what we want to see. Like, we took fashion magazines and we were like, boom, here's like twerking and flute playing and all shape sizes underwear models.
Yeah.
And then we're like, bam, are the people that we decide are our influencers look and do and feel very different from all the things you thought you wanted to tell us we found interesting. And,
there's a bunch of, I don't know if you know about this, but there are quite a few Latina superhero types on the show The Flash. Shown up. Yeah, a couple different characters kicking ass and such. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna have to watch that.
As like guest characters.
Yeah.
Pretty rad.
I used to dress up in underoos and pretend I was a superhero all the time.
Oh,
My grandfather was huge, so he was the Hulk. Well, I was La Mujer Maravilla, which is Wonder Woman.
Nice.
But yeah, that was for a long time. That was a constant in the winter in my house. Me just running out in my underwear and being like, ha! And my grandfather being like, okay, here we go, battle.
Did you have a specific superpower, or were you mirroring?
I was just amazing.
Oh.
Yeah, I was good at everything.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's handy.
Crime fighting required being great at everything.
It's fair. Popcorn or M&Ms?
Popcorn.
Okay. That one was fast. Here we go. If you could have the power of teleportation right now, where would you go and why?
The beach, anywhere.
Any beach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's be in the ocean.
Brilliant.
Under the sunshine. Can I ask you one?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you a cat person or a dog person?
I think I'm more inclined to be into cats that I haven't met than dogs I haven't met. So maybe cat person, but I tend to only I like the cats and dogs that I like.
Yeah.
I am definitely not just in general. I can't be a
blanket.
dog person.
Yeah.
Because I'm just not gonna like every dog, but I like the dogs I like.
Yeah.
And I used to have dogs, so there's a deep soul love of dogs, sort of.
Yeah. Sort of.
But more towards cats.
Okay.
That might have been too extra an answer. Okay, here we go.
8.
If you could teach a class on one thing, what would you teach?
Oh, God. I cannot narrow these things
That seems
down.
like a constant question for you.
For this weekend, it will probably be how to make Mexican chicken soup on my Instagram stories if you want to follow that.
That's perfect. Where can they follow your Instagram story?
It's HEART, Healthcare for Artists. So the word HEART, HEART, Healthcare for Artists, all spelled out, but no gaps or spaces or anything.
That's perfect. Okay, I feel like that makes a thing.
Yeah.
We talked about the chicken soup. I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
I love making soup.
Yes. It's going to be
And
so good.
Thanks for hanging out with
Thank
me.
you. I
Playing
appreciate
around.
it. I know. This was great.
We're going to wave to our friends. Good luck with your quarantining. Hopefully it's going well. And if this is not happening at that time that you watch this video, good luck with any challenge that shows up for you. I hope you follow in.
That's how that went. Thanks for joining us on this episode. Thanks for watching, listening, I don't know, reading, imbibing, however you took this in. Thanks for being here. And if you really enjoyed it, I'd love it if you would do all of the things. Like, share, I don't know, ring a bell, bang a gong, tell a friend, and come back next time. I hope you had as much fun as I did.